Jack Thompson adjusted his worn leather hat as he surveyed the sunlit expanse before him, the desert stretching endlessly with scattered sagebrush and distant mesas glowing in the golden morning light. The cool breeze carried the faint scent of wildflowers and dust, and Jack's hands instinctively rested on the reins of his horse, steadying himself as he thought about the journey ahead, aware that each step into this unfamiliar territory demanded caution, attentiveness, and respect for the land he traversed. Meanwhile, Aiyana Redfeather moved gracefully along the ridge above, her copper-toned skin radiant under the sun, dark eyes scanning for signs of wildlife or changes in the terrain, her finely braided hair decorated with small feathers swaying slightly in the wind. Dressed in supple leather and woven patterns that balanced tradition with mobility, her presence both commanding and reassuring as she descended toward the creek where Jack waited, her movements fluid yet deliberate, demonstrating the intimate knowledge of her environment she possessed from years of guidance from her tribe's elders. As she reached the creek, she smiled, a mix of warmth and playful curiosity in her gaze, offering guidance on the safest crossing points and sharing insights about the native plants and their uses. Jack listened intently, absorbing her explanations, his respect for her deepening with every shared story and practical lesson, recognizing the intelligence and thoughtfulness behind each action. They worked together to inspect the creek's edge, evaluating the firmness of the soil and the stability of the banks, discussing routes that would allow them to conserve energy while avoiding unnecessary risks, their conversation blending practical strategy with moments of shared laughter, creating a rapport that bridged the gap between their different experiences and backgrounds. And as Jack adjusted the saddle on his horse to prevent rubbing, Aiyana offered subtle hints on positioning and balance, her voice calm but authoritative, demonstrating a harmony of instinct and reasoning. The creek's water shimmered under the sunlight, reflecting their faces as they paused to hydrate and rest, the sound of flowing water providing a soothing rhythm against the quiet of the surrounding desert. And in this moment of pause, they shared small stories of past adventures, dreams, and hopes, each revelation deepening their understanding of one another while fostering trust. As the morning evolved into early afternoon, they prepared to continue along the winding path through the mesas, the interplay of shadows and light creating patterns on the ground that required careful navigation. And with every step, Jack's confidence grew under Aiyana's guidance, learning to anticipate subtle changes in the landscape, read tracks of animals, and respect the hidden rhythms of the environment, realizing that this partnership was evolving into a mutual reliance that would serve them well in the days ahead, cementing a foundation of trust, respect, and shared purpose that promised to shape the challenges and triumphs awaiting them on the vast western frontier. As the sun climbed higher over the mesas, Jack Thompson adjusted his reins and surveyed the vast landscape ahead, the golden light highlighting the contours of rocks and desert foliage, while Aiyana Redfeather moved beside him with practiced grace, her copper-toned skin glistening subtly in the warm sun, dark eyes alert to every movement in the distance, and her braided hair swaying gently with each step. The intricate patterns of her leather attire combining traditional design with functionality, allowing her freedom of movement and a sense of connection to the land she knew so well. Together they navigated a narrow trail that wound between cliffs and boulders, discussing the terrain, sharing observations about subtle tracks of animals and shifting wind patterns, and exchanging insights on native plants and their practical uses. Jack listening intently and mentally noting the advice while gradually becoming more attuned to the rhythm of the desert. Their conversation, punctuated by moments of laughter and shared stories, fostering a growing camaraderie and mutual respect. As they reached a shaded alcove, they paused to rest, the air warm yet carrying a refreshing breeze that rustled through the sparse vegetation, and they drank from their canteens while observing the horizon, pointing out distant landmarks, sharing memories of their past journeys, and contemplating the challenges that might arise. Their dialogue weaving together practical planning and personal reflection, deepening their understanding of one another and reinforcing the unspoken trust forming between them. After the brief respite, they continued along the trail, carefully maneuvering around loose rocks and uneven surfaces, discussing strategies for efficient travel while minimizing fatigue, Jack occasionally adjusting his posture to balance with the horse's movements, Aiyana offering subtle guidance with calm and authoritative instructions, and together they moved in harmony with each other and the environment, the interplay of light and shadow creating dynamic patterns on the ground that required their careful attention. As the afternoon progressed, they encountered a small grove of junipers and sagebrush, taking time to examine the flora, noting edible plants and medicinal herbs, and sharing knowledge of traditional practices. Jack absorbing each lesson with fascination, appreciating the depth of insight Aiyana provided, her presence both grounding and inspiring, enhancing his awareness of the surrounding world and strengthening their collaborative bond. By the time they reached a gently sloping rise, the landscape opened to reveal distant mesas and valleys, a panorama that spoke to the vastness of the western frontier, and they paused again, both reflecting silently on the journey so far, acknowledging the challenges they had already navigated and anticipating the path ahead, a mixture of preparation, admiration, and quiet determination settling between them as they prepared to continue their shared adventure across the sun-drenched expanse. The morning light filtered softly through the trees as Jack Thompson and Aiyana Redfeather approached the edge of the village, their steps measured and deliberate, each aware of the significance of this moment. Jack feeling the weight of responsibility while Aiyana radiated calm authority, her eye scanning the environment for potential challenges and opportunities alike. The subtle rustle of leaves and distant bird calls creating a symphony of natural sounds that underscored the importance of observation and patience. They paused briefly to observe the villagers tending to daily routines, children playing near simple wooden structures, elders exchanging stories under shaded canopies, and livestock moving slowly through open enclosures, a scene that combined tranquility with an undercurrent of communal strength, highlighting the balance between tradition and the ever-present need for vigilance, and both Jack and Aiyana absorbed these nuances, discussing quietly the dynamics of the community and the cultural protocols that guided interaction, Jack noting the careful respect given to elders and the intricate ways Aiyana communicated through gestures and expressions to convey understanding and intention. Moving further into the village, they navigated narrow paths between modest homes, noting details of architecture, the arrangement of functional spaces, and the integration of natural resources such as water channels and windbreaks, while Aiyana explained the significance of various symbolic decorations and the practical adaptations that had allowed the community to thrive in the surrounding landscape. Jack listening attentively, storing these observations to inform his actions and decisions, appreciating the depth of knowledge and perspective she brought, and the subtle ways in which her presence reinforced the cohesion of the group. As they reached a small open square, a gathering of villagers welcomed them, and Jack observed the interplay of expressions, the warmth of greetings, and the exchange of subtle signals that conveyed trust and expectation, while Aiyana guided him on proper etiquette, emphasizing awareness of spatial relationships, posture, and tone, ensuring that every interaction communicated respect and sincerity, a delicate dance of social intelligence that strengthened bonds and reinforced communal harmony. And Jack found himself increasingly attuned to these cues, recognizing the importance of empathy and cultural literacy in building meaningful connections. With the sun rising higher, casting elongated shadows across the ground, they continued their walk through the village, each step reinforcing the rhythm of understanding and collaboration, Jack marveling at the seamless integration of tradition, practicality, and social cohesion that Aiyana navigated with confidence and grace, their dialogue continuing in whispers and thoughtful glances, deepening his appreciation for the subtleties of human interaction and the wisdom inherent in her guidance, and together they moved forward with a sense of purpose and mutual respect, ready to face the challenges that awaited beyond the village while maintaining harmony with the community around them. As the afternoon sun climbed higher, Jack Thompson and Aiyana Redfeather moved beyond the village square, their senses attuned to every detail around them, each step a deliberate measure of observation and reflection, Jack taking in the landscape with careful attention, noting the patterns of light and shadow across the rolling terrain, the subtle variations in the ground that hinted at natural pathways and hidden obstacles, while Aiyana guided him with gentle gestures, her posture conveying both authority and patience, her eye scanning the horizon with an instinctive awareness of subtle environmental cues, teaching him the unspoken rules of moving within these spaces and reading the land as an extension of their understanding. They paused by a flowing stream, where water glistened over smooth stones, reflecting the sky above, and Jack marveled at the way Aiyana seamlessly integrated practical knowledge of the environment with cultural storytelling, recounting legends and lessons passed through generations, each narrative illustrating the balance between humans and nature, encouraging mindfulness and respect. And Jack listened attentively, recognizing the depth of insight in her words, the importance of patience and observation, and the interconnectedness of actions and outcomes in both survival and community life. Moving on through a cluster of trees, the dappled light created shifting patterns on the forest floor, and they encountered signs of wildlife, tracks, subtle movement in underbrush, the whisper of leaves, that Aiyana used to demonstrate tracking techniques, awareness of animal behavior, and how to move quietly while maintaining respect for the natural world, Jack practicing alongside her, adjusting his own movements, attuning to the rhythm of the environment. And the interaction strengthened his understanding of spatial awareness, timing, and empathy, qualities critical for navigating complex situations and building trust with those around him. They reached a clearing where a communal gathering was taking place, and Jack observed the rituals, the subtle exchanges between villagers, the respectful nods and gestures, while Aiyana explained the significance of each element, reinforcing the importance of observation, cultural literacy, and emotional intelligence. Jack integrating this knowledge into his understanding of human behavior and social dynamics, noting how respect, attention, and responsiveness shaped interactions and reinforced cohesion, preparing him to act thoughtfully, responsibly, and with cultural sensitivity, and together they moved through the day with deliberate purpose, each step reinforcing their connection to the environment, to each other, and to the broader community, readying themselves for the unfolding challenges and responsibilities that lay ahead in their shared journey, attuned to the lessons of observation, patience, and mutual respect that would guide every decision and action as they continued on their path. The early morning light cast long, golden rays across the prairie as Jack Thompson and Aiyana Redfeather prepared for their journey beyond the familiar terrain, the crisp air carrying the scent of sage and earth, and each step forward demanded focus and awareness, Jack adjusting his stance to move with balance and grace, mindful of the uneven ground beneath his boots, while Aiyana, her expression calm yet alert, guided him with subtle gestures and instructions, illustrating how to read the environment for hidden details and potential changes in weather. And as they approached a narrow canyon, the walls rising steeply on either side, she explained the importance of patience, observation, and precise timing when navigating difficult landscapes, Jack absorbing the lessons with careful attention, practicing silent, deliberate movements, and learning to synchronize his breathing and pace with the rhythm of the surroundings. They paused at a vantage point overlooking a distant river, the sunlight dancing on the water, reflecting hues of blue and gold, and Aiyana shared stories of how the land shaped the lives of those who came before them, each anecdote teaching respect for the terrain and its natural inhabitants, Jack noting how every detail, from the patterns of shadows to the subtle shifts in wind, could provide vital information for safe and efficient travel. As they continued along the trail, they encountered signs of wildlife, tracks, rustling leaves, distant calls, which Aiyana used to demonstrate interpretation skills and cautionary awareness, Jack imitating her focus and patience, honing his ability to anticipate and react appropriately without disturbing the environment. Then they reached a sunlit meadow filled with wildflowers and the gentle hum of bees, and Aiyana explained the balance between taking in the beauty of the moment and remaining mindful of practical concerns, illustrating how observation, patience, and mindfulness intertwine to enhance both safety and appreciation of the surroundings. Jack absorbed the lesson, feeling a growing sense of connection to the land and the knowledge being shared, understanding that every step, every glance, every decision had impact, and the interplay of respect, observation, and attentiveness would prepare them for encounters ahead, challenges that would demand both physical awareness and emotional intelligence. As they moved on, the bond between them strengthened, a combination of trust, shared learning, and mutual understanding, each moment reinforcing the skills, awareness, and insight necessary to navigate the world around them effectively. And together they advanced through the day, their senses attuned to the land, the subtle patterns of nature, and the unspoken signals of the environment, preparing them for the unfolding experiences that awaited, aware that the lessons of patience, observation, and mutual respect were as crucial as any physical skill they might need. The late afternoon sun painted the valley in warm amber as Jack Thompson and Aiyana Redfeather advanced cautiously through the undulating hills, the air filled with the scent of dry grass and the distant sound of flowing water, Jack adjusting his wide-brimmed hat against the sun while carefully observing the terrain for subtle changes, his posture reflecting both readiness and attentiveness, while Aiyana moved gracefully beside him, her eye scanning the horizon for any signs of movement or change, her demeanor calm yet highly alert. As they approached a narrow bridge spanning a glistening creek, the wooden planks worn and slightly uneven, she guided Jack with quiet instructions on balance and timing, demonstrating how to maintain stability and composure in precarious situations. Jack followed carefully, his mind absorbing the details of her movements and the lessons embedded in her precise guidance. Once across, they paused at the creek bank where the light shimmered on the water's surface, and Aiyana shared stories of the land's hidden paths and natural patterns, each tale teaching insight, patience, and respect for their surroundings. Jack listened intently, internalizing the nuances of observation and strategy, realizing that each choice, each step, had implications for both safety and success. As they climbed a gentle rise toward a lookout point, they spotted signs of wildlife, tracks, rustling leaves, distant calls, and Aiyana used these observations to demonstrate anticipation, quick thinking, and subtle movement, showing Jack how to blend focus with awareness, how to interpret signals without disturbing the natural order, and Jack practiced mirroring her attentiveness, noting every detail, learning to trust his instincts while relying on guidance from experience. The hills opened into a wide expanse of prairie, golden grasses waving in the breeze, and Aiyana illustrated the balance between taking in the scenic beauty and maintaining vigilance, emphasizing that true mastery came from harmonizing appreciation with awareness. Jack nodded, feeling a growing confidence in his ability to navigate the land while respecting its rhythms and patterns. As they ventured further, they encountered a small herd of deer grazing peacefully. Aiyana quietly signaled for Jack to observe without approaching, reinforcing patience, observation, and subtlety. These exercises honed both skill and intuition, strengthening their partnership as they moved, communicating silently through gestures and shared understanding. The sun lowering toward the horizon cast long shadows, and together they adjusted their pace to match the lengthening light, their steps synchronized, their senses attuned to subtle environmental changes, wind direction, and the positions of clouds, aware that these details could influence the remainder of their journey, the day unfolding as a series of lessons and shared experiences, each moment reinforcing trust, observation, and mutual respect, preparing them for encounters, challenges, and decisions that lay ahead. Jack feeling the growing bond and confidence that came from learning alongside Aiyana, the shared journey through hills, prairie, and creek teaching more than navigation. It taught resilience, awareness, and the unspoken connection that would guide them through the adventures yet to come. As the first light of dawn stretched across the valley, Jack Thompson and Aiyana Redfeather moved silently along the ridgeline, the cool breeze carrying the scent of pine and damp earth. Jack adjusting his leather gloves as he scanned the distant hills for any signs of change, his posture tense yet controlled, while Aiyana mirrored his alertness, her eyes sharp and focused, interpreting subtle shifts in the terrain and the faint sounds of wildlife. They reached a narrow canyon where sunlight glimmered off the rock walls, casting long shadows that shifted with every movement of the wind. She gestured for Jack to follow her lead carefully as they navigated the uneven path, teaching him the rhythm of stepping lightly and reading the signs of the land, each footfall deliberate, each glance intentional. As they paused at the canyon's edge, they observed a distant herd of elk grazing peacefully, Aiyana pointing out how to anticipate their movements without disturbing the balance of nature. Jack absorbed the lesson, learning patience, observation, and silent communication. They continued through a grove of tall oaks where the morning mist hovered near the ground, Aiyana explaining the importance of using natural cover and the subtle cues of light and shadow to move undetected. Jack mirrored her motions, feeling the growing trust and synergy between them. As they reached a small stream, the water sparkling with reflections of the sky, Aiyana demonstrated careful navigation over slippery rocks and shallow currents, showing Jack how to maintain balance and momentum, emphasizing that awareness and calm resolve were as crucial as physical skill. Moving beyond the stream, they ascended a gentle slope, the sun now warming the earth and highlighting patterns in the grass and stone. Aiyana shared insights into reading these patterns to predict potential obstacles or opportunities. Jack followed attentively, integrating each new piece of knowledge with his growing instincts. As they approached a high ridge, the wind carrying distant calls of birds and the scent of wildflowers, Aiyana encouraged Jack to pause and take in the environment, noting details he might have previously overlooked, reinforcing the lesson that observation was the key to preparation and foresight. Together they traversed the ridge, communicating through subtle gestures and shared understanding, their movements synchronized and purposeful, building confidence and mutual respect. As the day unfolded, they encountered natural challenges, fallen logs, narrow ledges, shifting stones, and Aiyana guided Jack in navigating each with careful consideration, demonstrating adaptability and quick problem-solving without disrupting the natural surroundings. Jack applied these techniques, feeling a growing sense of harmony with the land and with Aiyana. The partnership strengthened through each shared observation and each moment of coordinated movement. As the sun rose higher, the valley below unfolded in a panorama of rolling hills and golden meadows, and Jack realized that the lessons he learned today were more than practical skills. They were insights into trust, patience, and the subtle communication that would guide them through the journeys ahead. preparing both of them for the decisions and discoveries that lay just beyond the horizon. Their bond deepening with each measured step, awareness heightened, and anticipation steady, ready for the challenges and experiences yet to come. The sun hung low over the valley, casting long shadows that stretched across the rolling plains as Jack Thompson and Aiyana Redfeather approached the outskirts of the tribal village, their movements purposeful yet cautious, each step measured against the uneven ground and the whispering wind, Jack scanning the horizon for any signs of danger while Aiyana read the subtle cues of the terrain, the rustling of grass, and the distant calls of birds. Together they arrived at the central gathering area where the elders and members of the tribe awaited, the tension of the past days palpable yet tempered by the anticipation of reconciliation and trust. Jack felt the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders as he considered the actions that had led to this moment, the decisions made in partnership with Aiyana now poised to shape the future of the community. Aiyana guided him forward, her expression calm but resolute, communicating through gestures and brief whispers the subtle strategies needed to ensure respect and harmony. As they stepped into the clearing, children and adults alike turned to observe the newcomers, curiosity mixed with caution evident in every gaze. Jack nodded respectfully, acknowledging the importance of cultural understanding, and extended a hand of goodwill to the tribal leaders, who responded with measured acceptance, the air charged with a sense of shared purpose and emerging unity. Throughout the day, Jack and Aiyana worked alongside the villagers, helping with tasks that ranged from preparing communal meals to organizing supplies, each interaction reinforcing bonds and trust, Aiyana translating traditions and practices for Jack, ensuring that he approached each moment with awareness and sensitivity, the rhythm of work and conversation blending seamlessly with the natural cadence of the village. As the sun began to dip behind the distant hills, the tribe gathered for a ceremony of gratitude and recognition, Jack and Aiyana standing together at the center, honored guests yet fully participants in the communal celebration, the laughter of children, the warmth of shared stories, and the echo of traditional songs creating an atmosphere of profound connection. Jack reflected on the journey that had brought him here, the lessons learned from observation, patience, and collaboration with Aiyana, the understanding that true leadership and support required more than skill, it required empathy and commitment to the greater good. As the evening shadows deepened, Aiyana and Jack looked out across the assembled tribe, feeling the satisfaction of having contributed meaningfully, the subtle nods of approval from elders and the smiles of villagers reinforcing the success of their integration and the impact of their presence. Together they had navigated challenges, bridged gaps of understanding, and fostered a new era of cooperation, the land around them alive with promise, the horizon ahead hinting at further adventures and shared responsibilities. Jack recognized that his connection with Aiyana, rooted in respect and mutual reliance, had been the guiding force throughout, and as stars began to emerge in the twilight sky, he felt a deep sense of fulfillment, knowing that their combined efforts had not only safeguarded the community but had also sown the seeds for enduring harmony and shared prosperity. The final moments of the day imbued with quiet reflection, gratitude, and the gentle assurance that the path forward, though still filled with challenges, was one they would navigate together, strengthened by trust, understanding, and the enduring spirit of collaboration that had defined their journey from the first cautious steps through the wilderness to this moment of unity and promise. Experience the thrilling journey of a cowboy and a tribal chief's daughter as they navigate trust, courage, and loyalty in the heart of the frontier. Witness the cowboy's daring actions and the chief's daughter's wisdom as they protect their community, overcome challenges, and build a bond that transcends cultures, a story where both the cowboy and the tribal chief's daughter play pivotal roles in saving lives and facing the unknown. This captivating narrative is a perfect example of Western stories, showcasing vivid landscapes, authentic interactions, and the resilience of human spirit, emphasizing how respect and collaboration lead to triumph. Explore the cowboy and the tribal chief's daughter's journey through suspenseful moments, strategic problem-solving, and heartfelt decisions, illustrating the depth of character and the richness of their environment, making this tale a standout among Western stories. Immerse yourself in the detailed world where the cowboy's ingenuity and the tribal chief's daughter's insight guide them through unexpected situations, demonstrating themes of honor, friendship, and bravery, reinforcing why this story is celebrated in the collection of Western stories. Every encounter, from small settlements to wide-open plains, highlights the essence of teamwork and cultural exchange between the cowboy and the tribal chief's daughter, culminating in a memorable resolution that exemplifies the spirit of Western stories.